Good afternoon, everybody. I hope everyone had a good start to their week yesterday. Even though this week is still pretty early, I hope everyone does have a good week. So I wasn't able to post. I wasn't able to upload episode this last episode that I recorded yesterday due to some editing issues. So that will be up later on today, and so this episode as well. Um, this episode will be updated later just because I have to do the first one, but they'll be out roughly the same amount of time. So, yesterday, yesterday night rather, lots of stuff has happened in the sports world as far as NBA, and a lot of stuff happened in MLB this morning. Last episode I mentioned that Mahomes and Kelce potentially being a top three wide receiver slash tight end duo, with the amount of success that they've had. Where do they rank up as far as quarterback and receiving duo? So we're gonna get it started. We're gonna start off with baseball, just because there's only like a few things that happened last night and this morning. So the big one, the big thing that happened was Jorge Soler. Jorge Soler was previously with the Marlins. He did opt out of his contract. His deal with the Marlins was a 3-year, $36 million deal, and that was after his heroics from the 2021 Braves World Series win. That team was one of the most magical teams I would probably say in baseball for the last 10 years, just because Ronald Acuna Jr. did have that ACL injury, and the whole organization had to basically try to replace him with three outfielders, with Jock Peterson, Jorge Soler, and Adam Duvall. All three of those guys basically are Ronald Acuna Jr. is just Acuna is a little bit faster and a little bit better defender and hits with better average. But basically, those three guys combined make a power version of what Ronald Acuna is. So he won World Series MVP in 21, hitting that game 6 3-run homer to try to just, that was basically the dagger. There were some more offensive highlights throughout that rest of the night. Just that was just one of those early, like, we're here to handle business, and he had a pretty good game in that game as well. But he did sign with the San Francisco Giants for 3 years, $42 million. There is a signing bonus of $9 million, and all of this money is guaranteed. So he is getting $42 million guaranteed. There's probably some incentives in there, but we do not know that yet. But last year he hit 250, 341 on base, 512 slugging. So about a 753 OPS around there, according to one article. And he hit 36 homers. So that's like I said, that's what the game is now. You either hit home runs or strike out. He did go to the All-Star game, so he had a, I don't know, like I'm used to the 300 average. If you have a high OPS over 800, that's pretty solid. And if you do hit 30, or if you hit about 25 or more and drive in about 90 to 100, I will say, I mean, shoot, you know what? Let's just put it at 80 to 100, 80 to 85 to 100 RBIs. That's a really good year. It's just this year, I mean, it's the 250 average. I know pitching has increased with the amount of talent. There's a lot of people throwing 95 to 100, and I know that's not easy. Trust me, I know. And it's it's just I guess there's not going to be a lot of guys hitting 300 anymore, or at least 280 to 290. It's going to be very hard to do nowadays because that's just not where the game is heading. But I mean, as far as the modern MLB, 250's pretty good. weighted runs created plus of 126, so that's pretty good. And he posted the second best walk and strikeout rate of his career. So he had as far as that, he was doing pretty well. And Statcast is a program where it tracks how hard you hit the ball, if there's a home run, how hard you hit it. Uh, if you do hit a home run, how far it goes, exit velocity, launch angle, basically the stat guru of how to hit in today's modern MLB. He was placed 81%. He was in the 81 percentile or better in average exit velocity, hard hit rate, and barrel rate. Barrel rate is basically how successful are you in barreling a ball up, and he was in the 81st percentile, so that is really good. I mean, obviously you can get in the top in the 90th percentile or more. That's an otherworldly. That is a very, very small club to be put in. But he's going to San Francisco Giants. They desperately need offense and a slugger that can drive in runs, hit the long ball, and it's a hitter friendly park too. I know that it's a more lefty friendly, but I mean he's been proven ever since when he was with the Royals, hitting about 41 or so with the Royals for the past in his career, the way that he was there, he was hitting about 30 to 40 and in his time there. So but yeah, he is well deserved for him. As far as All-Star, he probably has a shot of getting. Sorry, I didn't know that I had an alarm on my phone, but yeah, I mean he has a potential to be an All-Star in San Francisco because there's not really lots of marquee names over there. I know Mike Yastrzemski's pretty good. He's a solid player, but I mean there's really no other guy other than Patrick Bailey, even though he just got off his rookie year. So they need a lot of offensive ability and lots of offensive talent, and he will give that to him. So happy for him. In one of my other episodes, I think it was in episode 2 or 3, where I had a diagram of players that should be signed in free agency, because I got something messed up in one of my episodes, so I wanted to clear the air. So pitchers and catchers, I think I was right on that one, but pitchers and catchers report to camp. They can report earlier if they want to. I know Otani, Yamamoto have been throwing in the Dodgers bullpen, but typically the pitchers and catchers are supposed to report to spring training on February 14th, basically tomorrow. And then the players are supposed to report February 19th, so all the position players. So there's lots of key guys like Cody Bellinger, Blake Snell, a lot of guys that still haven't been signed. And I think I mentioned Jesse Winker. Jesse Winker had a terrible year last year. Coming back from Seattle, he did. I don't know. His 2021, that was his All-Star year. He hit 305, 24 homers, 71 RBIs. Played 110 games. He had a really good first half stretch. Really good first half. Second half, it was his performance as far as hitting the long ball went down. But I mean, if you finish hitting 305, I don't care who you are. That's a fantastic year. And then that next year, he went to Seattle, signed a big contract because, I mean, shoot, if you're hitting 300, and as far as strikeout to walk ratio, he struck out 75 and walked 53. That means he only struck out 22 more times than he walked. So, I mean, as far as that is incredible. Plus, he was playing for a team like Cincinnati, and I mean in NL Central. So, it is one of the weaker divisions. Don't get me wrong, but you still have to hit the fucking ball, and he did that. And then he went to Seattle. It's a different league, so I knew that was going to be a little bit tough for him, but he hit 219. So it was a very, very noticeable drop off. I mean, he wasn't hitting the ball well at all. I don't know if it was just the confidence thing, because as a hitter, once you start performing well and then you start slumping, it's crazy. Your confidence goes to the toilet, and it's hard to come back from. And then last year when he was with Milwaukee, he was basically just a guy, a platoon that could hit righties, and that whole lineup in Milwaukee, that depth chart is so uh, is so deep as well. I mean, they got Yelich. They had a rookie that came up. I forgot his name, but I think his last name was Weiner. I'm not gonna say the other name, the other pronunciation. But he plays center field, and they had Tyrone Taylor. So those three guys were the main outfielders for them last year. I know Owen Miller was able to go out there a little bit, even though he's mainly plays second base. But yeah, Jesse Winker signed with the Nationals. The Nationals need a lot. Jesse Winker is a veteran, so he'll be able to bring some knowledge to the game to help those young guys out, and hopefully he'll be able to, bounce back to save his career. Because if not, he's going to be signing a lot of minor league deals. He's got the pop. I mean, I know, like his 2017 298 at batting average, 2018 299. So and then he started recently getting up power numbers, but he has the stats, and the numbers say he can hit the ball. It's just, I don't know if it's a pitching thing or approach, but hopefully he can bounce back and be able to get back to where he was in 2021. Yeah, 2021. So hopefully he'll be able to bounce back, and I am rooting for him. Corey Knebel signed to the Phillies for a minor league deal. Last time I saw him pitch with the Dodgers. I know he played with one other team. I'm not really sure who he played with last year. Apparently played with the Phillies last year. And as relievers, as far as games go, there's 162 games in a season. But for relievers, their production, and when they say, "Oh, I played this amount of games," that means they're only even there for maybe a batter or an inning. So in his time there last year, he hit. Well, no, he wasn't in the league last year. My bad. Sorry about that, guys. The last time he was in the league was in 22. He was with the Phillies as well, but he pitched 340. He had an ERA of 3.43. Struck out 41, and as far as saves, he had 12 saves. I'm not sure if Craig Kimbrell was there or not. I don't think so. But even if he was there, that's probably why, as far as saves numbers, that's why he probably had 12, because Craig Kimbrell was there. But the last time he was, I won't say healthy, but the last time he had a good productive year was with the Dodgers, like I said earlier. 2.45 ERA, 25.2 innings pitched, 30 strikeouts. He was more of a middle reliever setup guy. He was for a good bit of time a closer for Milwaukee in 2017. He did take that closing role, and then he had to battle out with Hader, Devin Williams in 2018 and 2020. So plus it's probably due to age or velocity. I know that he can still shove it, but I'm not sure if he can still shove it the way he used to. But yeah, he's going back to the Phillies to replace to replace Craig Kimbrell. I don't know why I said Kevin. But yeah, Craig Kimbrell is he's on the Orioles now. He is on the Orioles. So he went from one title contender to another. So they do need another closer. So I don't know if they're going to give that role to Corey Knebel. If he does make the spring training, if he does make the opening day roster, he is signing to a minor league deal. So just want to throw that out. if I didn't say that before. So they need a closer. If not, he could be a really good setup guy like he has been throughout his career. Um, but yeah, that's basically all of MLB news today. Um, Last night, Victor Wembanyama, I don't know what else to say about this guy. I feel like he's going to win Rookie of the Year. I know a lot of people say Chet Holmgren just because Chet Holmgren's on a title. People say title contending team. I don't think they're a contender, even though their record is really, really good. Do they have a chance to go to the NBA Finals? Yes, but do I think so? No, because of how young they are. They are a young team. I do think that if the Thunder are able to keep that starting five together, I know we said this before about the team. If they kept Harden, Westbrook, Ibaka, and Durant, if they all kept those four, and I don't know if Steven Adams was there, but I do know that Ibaka did play the five when they put Thabo Sefolosha in there in the NBA Finals. So, but even if they did keep the four and end up drafting Steven Adams, and if Steven Adams had the same trajectory that he did now earlier, if he was going to be the same guy that he is now, I mean, and they all kept that team together, that nucleus together. I mean, that team was going to be like the Golden State Warriors, one of the best teams of all time, and a sure title contending favorite every single year. But they just need to keep those starting fives together to even have a shot winning in the future. But Victor Wembanyama, he is my. Sorry, I'm stuttering so much, but he is my favorite to win Rookie of the Year. He's a pro from France. I mean, like, he's 7'5", doing things Kevin Durant can do, and hit them. I would say his underrated skill is playmaking ability. Last night they played against the Toronto Raptors, and they are both young teams. Toronto, RJ Barrett's been balling, coming back to his home country, from Ontario. So, that's in Canada's backyard for him, and Gary Trent can play, Emmanuel quickly can play, Scotty Barnes. They have a lot of young guys that have a potential to be future stars and future all stars in this league. And the Spurs, same thing, young team. Um, Victor Wembanyama is the focal point of that team. Devin Vassell, who just signed that extension earlier this offseason, he can play. Keldon Johnson, who I think is an underrated piece that they do have. He's been, since Vassell got there, Keldon Johnson's been the best player on that Spurs team for the past few years now. And then, I feel like Trey Jones is an underrated point guard. He came in the league after coming out of Duke. There's a lot of things about his 3-point percentage, his and his offensive scoring ability, because he's known for just a playmaker point guard who can run an offense and get everyone involved. But this year and late last year, he was able to show us that he's able to score maybe 20 points if he gets it going. So this whole team, I would say, in the next 5 years, can be a playoff contending team and potential NBA Finals threat. I say them, Detroit, and OKC, and Minnesota. Those 4 teams right there can be could be a top 4. Those 4 teams could be top 4 or NBA Finals bound. And I say that just because Denver is, in the next 4 years, Jokic, Murray, Porter, Peyton Watson, and Christian Brown. Those 5 guys are under contract for the next 4 to 5 years. So, do I think Gordon is going to get that money anywhere else after his contract is up? No. Do I think Jamal Murray Potentially Jokic. I'm not sure. I have to see about his age. Peyton Watson, though, yes, he could get that. He could probably get that same amount of money or more somewhere else. But it's just Porter. Yes, he can get more money probably if he went somewhere else. And I say that because Victor Wembanyama is like 20 years old. Vassell, Jerry Sohan, uh, who he's getting compared to Dennis Rodman because his offensive game is not there, but his defensive ability is there. Last night he got 2 blocks. Uh, he only got he was 8 short of Victor's block stat last night. Victor was end up getting 27, 10 blocks, 14 rebounds, 5 assists, and 2 steals last night. And I'm sorry I'm jumping around. I'm just trying to give you my take on the Spurs. Victor ended up getting triple double last night at Toronto in 29 minutes. So I know that that Popovich is trying to watch how many minutes he's playing because he is 7'5", in a twig and trying to make sure that he is healthy because Kristaps Porzingis went through the same thing, similarly the same thing, because they're both Kevin Durant, Kristaps Porzingis, and Bol. They have all 4 of them. I mean, Kevin Durant's been playing 35 minutes in a night, so he's fine. But those 3 guys who do play the 5 position, who are over 7 feet tall, they have to be cautious on their bodies, stay healthy and stay fit. So, you have to be more. He has to be more aware of that. So, but yeah, lately his minutes have been more consistent in the high 20s, low 30s. But yeah, he had a really good game last night. And about that game, Toronto, they just didn't shoot well. RJ Barrett scored 13 on 6 of 10 shooting. Barnes only had 7, 3 of 15, so he didn't shoot the ball too terribly well. I mean, being flat honest, he shot the ball like shit. But Scotty Barnes, all-star caliber guy. He had 9 assists and 9 rebounds last night. So he did show up in other areas of the game that gave him some value in that game. And then Bruce Brown, 12 points, 5 of 8. He played 31 minutes. The rookie, Grady Dick, had 18. So he led the team in scoring that night with 18. Went 7 of 10, 4 of 5 from 3. And Kelly Olynyk, the newcomer of he and Ochai Agbaji, sorry. Them two played last night. Olynyk impressed, 17 points off the bench, 6 of 10 from the field, and Agbaji had a rough night shooting, but yeah, I mean Victor Wembanyama, rookie of the year for me. I know he's a rookie of the year in a lot of other people's eyes. So, like I said, I really do feel like he will be a top 10 player in the next 5 years, and his team will be in the top 5, if not top 4, in the next 5 years when the Denver, I don't think it's not a Denver dynasty, but when the Denver team either splits up or gets old and retires. One of the things that I do want to mention is that that trade deadline episode that I did have. Lots of players showed out in their first or second game. Buddy Hield is one of them. Buddy Hield played the Cavs last night. Buddy Hield ended up getting 24. He shot 9 of 13, 5 of 8 from 3. So he showed what he's able to do when he gets the ball in his hands. Like I said, he can be a rhythm shooter, off the dribble, catch and shoot. One of the better 3-point shooters in the league. This year is only averaging 12.5 points, which for him, he's not going to be a guy that's going to score 20 points or more. He's just a guy that's a really good shooter, knows his role, and knows how to be effective. From the span of 2016 when he was with the Kings, he shot 40%, over 40% 3 times. He shot 43, 43, 43. With Indiana, first year with Indiana, he shot 36, so it was pretty low for him, probably just because it was a new team. And, if he does have a family, his family's in Sacramento. Dame has said it, Chris Paul has said it. When you're away from your family, it does have a hard time affecting your game and things of that nature. But then after that, he went back to um, 40, 43, 38, and then now with the in the small sample size in Philly, he's shooting 45% from three. So, and with Embiid getting out with injury, he is getting a lot more points and a lot more production that way. Bogdanovich last night impressed in his Knick debut. um, they played against the Rockets last night. He came off the bench, which I feel like that will be his role. He and Alec Burks will be that role. Will be those two guys for them, because if Thibodeau wants to have that defensive mindset on the court, then they're going to need Jalen Brunson and Josh Hart, because them both have been playing well in Randall's absence. So them two have to play. But yeah, Brunson 27, DiVincenzo 23, and Josh Hart 17. Josh Hart is one of the better rebounders for his position. I would classify him as a 2 guard. He got 11 rebounds last night, coming from Villanova with Brunson and DiVincenzo. All 3 guys have played together in some form or fashion, and having that chemistry already, it's just going to blossom from there. But yeah, Bogdanovich 15 points, 7 of 13 from the field, and I believe this was his first game. And then Alec Burks did not shoot the ball too terribly well, but he was there. Speaking of this game, there's going to be the segment, as a special segment based on that game against the Rockets. The Rockets end up winning 105 to 103 due to Devin Brooks leading the charge in points, 23. Aaron Holiday did end up getting 18, and Jabari Smith Jr. 20. So just their whole starting lineup was on fire offensively, and it's gonna. Now I don't think that would have won them. I don't think they should have won the game. The game should have gone to overtime, but I'll get into that later in the show. PJ Washington and Daniel Gafford. Those 2 guys end up getting acquired by Dallas in the trade deadline, and both of them have been producing. I do know that they played a game prior to this and prior to Washington, but it's Washington, so but at the same time, even if one didn't play well, the other one did. PJ Washington had 9 points. He went 4 of 11, and Gafford had 16, 7 of 13. Probably his buckets came from around the rim, most likely, and he shot a few free throws and whatever. But playing with Kyrie and Luka, you have to be able to produce on the limited amount of shots that you do have. But both of them have been producing. Gafford went 16 and 17 with 5 blocks. So that's the reason why they got him. Rim protector, gets you some boards, rim runner as well. And, he only shot 3 free throws, but he made 2 of them. So he made most of the free throws. PJ Washington, in his production, five rebounds, 3 assists, plus minus 8. So that means when he was on the court, he was a benefit. Gafford, -6, but at the same time, his stat line basically speaks for itself. 16, double-double. That's a good game, regardless of what plus and minus is. So plus and minus is a good thing, but it's also a bad thing because you don't know how to interpret it. Because sometimes LeBron James can have a bad plus-minus, but his team won the game. And he was 25, 10, and 7. So, that's just analytics, and that's what sometimes hurts the Knicks sometimes because of analytics. But Kyrie and Luka both scored 26. Luka had a triple-double, 26, 15, 11. Typical Luka. And they're figuring it out. Mavericks are figuring it out. Hopefully they can go deep in the playoffs again, like they did when they played Golden State in 22 against the Celtics. And one of the other things that happened last night as far as NBA was the Atlanta Hawks and Chicago. The other games that happened, Philly did up winning against the Cavs, but Philly, Chicago, and Atlanta. Yeah, that's a star power game. DeRozan leading Chicago Bulls with Nikola Vucevic, and then Atlanta Hawks with Trae Young, DeJounte Murray. Wanted to highlight this game because there's an underrated player that needs to be mentioned more, in my opinion. I know Jalen Johnson has been getting his name brought out in conversations around the league, but there's one guy that does not get enough props in this league, and that guy is DeAndre Hunter. DeAndre Hunter is a wing that I don't remember when he got drafted. I think it was around 2018, 2019. He played with Virginia when they won the national championship, and he's a 6'8" wing, two-way guy. He's been playing with Atlanta since he's been in the league, and he's averaging 15 points a game, 4 rebounds, and shooting about 47% from the field. He and Bogdan Bogdanovic won them the game last night. Trae Young didn't shoot the ball well. DeJounte Murray did get 17, and Trae Young got most of his points at the free throw line. Even though their assist numbers, DeJounte with 9 assists, Trae Young with 14, keeping that over 25 and 10. But they didn't shoot the ball great at all. And DeRozan, 29, we know he's going to do mid-range killer, went to the free throw line, automatic. Vucevic, 24 and 11. Kobe White, who I feel like it has a chance to get most improved player this year. He scored 20, and one of their first or second year players, well, I guess third year. He's on the AO. I don't know how to pronounce his name. I'm trying to find how do I pronounce his name. Dosunmu, I guess that's how you say his name. Hopefully I didn't butcher it. If you're watching, sorry, even though you're probably not. But he's averaging about 50% or more from the field. He scored 29 as well, so he had a really good game last night. DeAndre Hunter, 2 blocks, a steal, 23 points, 6 rebounds. He is known for he's known for being efficient, but he's known for being a defensive guy, and he should be more talked about more, because if he was playing on any other team, if he was playing on the Spurs, if he was playing on Detroit, if he was playing on Washington, he would be the third best player, if not the best player on that team, in my opinion, just because Washington has zero leadership. I know Jordan Poole says he's the guy. I know Kyle Kuzma's been in the league for quite a few years, but I mean, based off being a consistent player, you know what you're going to get from DeAndre Hunter. Good defender, about 6'8", really long.
What?
As far as wingspan, and so I wanted to give a shout out to him because of his production in this league, being a valuable piece to this Hawks team, and I'm just glad that he didn't get traded just for Atlanta's sake, just so they can get in the playoffs. But yeah, that's the one thing I wanted to talk about with him. And last but not least, last episode I mentioned Mahomes and Kelce being potentially a top 3 duo of all time as far as receiver tight end combinations. Um, Obviously, they did win the Super Bowl the other day. So people are like, oh, well, where should they rank? Where should they be? Um, so here's my list. It could be potentially flawed in some people's eyes. It could be just as good. It could be agreeable. It's up to everyone's interpretation. But I'm going to give an honorable mention here to Steve Young and Jerry Rice. They did play for 8 years, winning 1 Super Bowl in that time. But everyone else either did the same thing or their stats were a little bit better. Steve Young and Jerry Rice, them two ended up throwing for 11,462 yards, 119 touchdowns, 780 completions / receptions. So based off that, those are really, really good numbers. I just think that's an honorable mention just because they only have 1 Super Bowl in 8 years. So that's the only reason why I have them honorable mention, even though both of them are in the Hall of Fame. Both Hall of Famers. And all these guys that I'm about to list are Hall of Famers. My fifth, number 5, I give it to Peyton Manning and Marvin Harrison. Could you say Reggie Wayne? You probably could. Even though both of those two guys were on the same team when they did win the Super Bowl in, I believe, 08. I'm pretty sure. No. Where is it at? I think it was 06. Sorry. But I believe it was 06 or 08. And but both of them were on the same team. Marvin Harrison, Hall of Famer. Reggie Wayne and Marvin Harrison at the end of Reggie Wayne's career, they both have basically the same stats as far as reception yards. Reception yards, Marvin Harrison has like 200 more. 200 more than Reggie Wayne. They won. It was in 2006. I was right before. I was doubting myself. But yeah, they were both on the team that same year that they end up winning both. Marvin Harrison led the league in reception yards twice. Not in that year, but in that year, Peyton Manning and Harrison had 1,300 reception yards, while Reggie Wayne in 2006 had 1,310 reception yards. So both those two guys were arguably switch reversible. I just put Harrison in there just because he and Peyton Manning have the most touchdowns. They have 112 touchdowns, most for any quarterback and wide receiver duo in NFL history. They, as I said, they won the Super Bowl, and they had together 953 completions / receptions and 12,766 yards. So that's why I have them at 5. Number 4, I have Michael Irvin and Troy Aikman. I have them number 4 just because they, in the 80s, to the late 90s when they played together, they won in the 90s dynasty. They won 3 Super Bowls in about 4 years. So I have them, but at the same time, they had a good offensive line, Emmitt Smith as well back there. So they had a lot of key contributors, but as far as a wide receiver slash tight end duo, they were one of the best in the game, if not all time. And I have them number four. They had 54 touchdowns, 9,949 yards, and 641 receptions slash completions. Them two are now analysts for Fox and ESPN, and whenever they do broadcast, they are very excellent broadcasters to keep everybody entertained. Number three, I have Joe Montana and Jerry Rice. Now a lot of people are like, whoa, you have them number three. I say that because they only won 2 Super Bowls together. They won back to back, but you know they had, as far as the other numbers concerned, as far as yards, touchdowns, and completions, that's why I have them 3. They did have 67 total touchdowns, 386 completions, receptions, and 6,710 yards. They had 2 Super Bowls, and you're like, well, why is Aikman and Irving below them? This is just it's the numbers. For me, that's why I had, even though Michael Irvin and Aikman had more Super Bowl wins, I put them ahead just because, did San Francisco have other weapons too? Yes. But, Jerry Rice and Montana, you couldn't stop them. And it's like Aikman and Irvin, San Francisco didn't have a running back as qualified and as Emmitt Smith, and if not the line that Aikman had. So that's why I have Montana and Rice 3, just because it was they had dealt with more adversity and they had less time. They had a lot less time in 5 years compared to Aikman and Michael Irving's 10. And they did, as far as numbers wise, they did it in shorter time and got 2 Super Bowls in 5 years and then with Dallas getting 3 and 4. So just about the same production, but as far as stats and getting the numbers, they did it faster, if not shorter, and potentially better. I have Mahomes and Kelce 2. I have them, even though Kelce's not a wide receiver, as a dynamic duo, quarterback to receiver / tight end. They are, I think, as of now, they're a second tight end duo. And you probably already know who I have number 1 as far as a quarterback receiver duo / tight end. Mahomes and Kelce in the playoffs. In the postseason, they are second in quarterback to wide receiver / tight end connections. The only other the only other duo that's above them is Brady and Gronkowski, and they have 15. And the list is Brady and Gronkowski 15, Mahomes and Kelce 10, Favre and Freeman 10, Manning and Reggie Wayne, like I mentioned earlier. So you could basically flip Marvin Harrison and Reggie Wayne around because they were both the same receiver. And then Kurt Warner and Fitzgerald with 9 as well. So all of those guys, other than Reggie Wayne, I have to look at Freeman, but all those other guys, first ballot Hall of Famers. Kurt Warner, who recently just got in the Hall of Fame. Larry Fitzgerald, soon to be a Hall of Famer. And yeah, so the only 2 guys that aren't in the Hall of Fame that are currently playing are Mahomes and Kelce, and Brady and Gronkowski aren't in the Hall of Fame yet. They have to wait until they are eligible to be on the ballot. But basically all those guys Hall of Famers. And they've only played 6 full seasons together, either one getting injured or one not playing as many games. But 6 full seasons, and they've won 3 Super Bowls. Um, you know, they have more Super Bowls than Montana and Rice, and basically what these two guys are doing, they're Mahomes is arguably a top 3 quarterback of all time now. I'm a Peyton Manning guy, but the reason why Peyton Manning is 2 is because of his longevity. So is Tom Brady played a long career too. Those two guys were played so long to accrue that amount those amount of yards, touchdown passes, everything. So a lot of their GOAT status is longevity, and a lot of people are like, well, you know, you have to be healthy, and you know, Tom Brady's a winner, and you know, yeah, I get it, but you also have to play a certain amount of time to get those records. You know, it's like it's the same thing with the Jordan LeBron debate. Everyone's like, well, Jordan played longer, and LeBron's playing longer, so he's gonna get all the records and blah 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 blah. Well, does that help in his GOAT status? Yeah, because he's playing at a high level for so long to where, yeah, he's maintaining his body, he's maintaining his pace, the style of play. He's been consistent, and it's not his fault that no one's able to stop him still. So, you know, Mahomes and Kelce. Mahomes, like I said, he's in my opinion, he's a top 3 ever. First ballot Hall of Famer, and Kelce is arguably one of the best tight ends of all time. I don't know if he is the best. I have to find the numbers. I am finding my own numbers and statistics, even if it's off ESPN, NFL, basketball, MLB reference, all that. Because there's guys like Tony Gonzalez, who I believe has the most receiving yards as a tight end. There's Gronkowski, there's Shannon Sharp, there's Antonio Gates, now there's Travis Kelce, Jason Witten, another tight end who is very underrated during his time in the league, and even Zach Ertz had a good few year stretch. Jimmy Graham, you know, and now George Kittle is now becoming one of the better tight ends in the league as well, and as well as T.J. Hawkinson from Minnesota. So, you know, there's lots of names out there to try and figure out who is the best tight end of all time, but he's a top 5 at least as far as tight ends. But yeah, they're going to break that record, and that Manning and well, I guess that article, sorry, I was reading the stat that I had was 2 years old. So I do apologize. That record has been broken. They have 16. They did end up beating it. As far as a duo, Joe Montana and Rice. So like then that's why, and you know, my top 3, Joe Montana and Jerry Rice had 12. Brady and Gronkowski had 15, and Mahomes and Kelce just passed both of those 4 Hall of Famers and touchdowns in postseason history. So I have them at 2 just because they're still playing. They have a chance to get more rings. So, and then number 1, I have Brady and Gronk. One of the most unstoppable tight ends of all time. You could not bring him down. Gronkowski with Brady, 4-time Super Bowl champ in his career, 9,286 yards. Mammoth of a human being. They have him listed as 6'6", but he's about 6'7", 6'8". They have him listed as 265. I mean, I believe he weighed 280. I mean, this dude was a rock solid tight end, 4-time All-Pro. And Brady, just them two. I know that Brady also had some other guys with him, Julian Edelman and Danny Amendola. And, he had Randy Moss and lots of other Hall of Fame and key important role players that aren't Hall of Famers. But, I mean, they're both of them together. I mean, Tom Brady's a 7-time Super Bowl champion. And, so he was able to get Gronkowski to come back out of retirement when Tom went to Tampa Bay, and then when he came back, he was arguably the same guy. He played 16 games in 2020, and he basically yards, same thing, and then his last year before retiring again, at the age of 32, he had 802 yards as a tight end. So that's shocking that he was able to come back from retirement and basically put up 1,400 yards in 2 years and then retiring again. So that just shows the talent and the greatness of Rob Gronkowski and Tom Brady. So both winning 4 Super Bowls together, the most of any duo on this list that I have. And yeah, I mean, I until Travis Kelce and Mahomes break that, or at least when they have to get 5 for me to put them above Gronk and Brady, just because of the greatness and the legendary status that both of them have, not only in regular season, but also in the postseason and clutch time moments, whether it's a clutch block or anything that significant. So that's my list of the top duos. I have Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce, 2. One of the things I did mention earlier in this episode was that special segment that I had. There's another. I did this segment a few weeks ago. I think it was last week, where it was what the hell happened. We're bringing that back once again. Because there was something that happened last night, and early in the episode where I said the Knicks should not have lost the game. They lost the game due to a what the hell / what the fuck was that? What the hell? Now, would they have won the game if they didn't call this foul? No, because they would have gone to overtime, and then I believe the Knicks would have won that game, because the ball would have been in Brunson's hands probably every possession down. But yeah, there was a foul. Aaron Holiday got the ball. He basically heaved a shot to try to hit the shot to win the game. It was a 3-pointer. It was his foot was on the line, but it was close to the 3-point line, and Brunson did a hard closeout and went past Aaron Holiday, and you see the referee call the foul where Brunson did not even touch him at all. The angles that showed it appeared that he didn't. In one angle, it appeared that he didn't touch him. But I mean, like I said, the Knicks and the Rockets shot well. Rockets shot 39% from 3, and both teams ended up shooting 45% from the field. So, but it was just going to be a hard fought game throughout the whole overtime stretch if they went to overtime. But that call was unbelievably bad. It was just as bad, if not worse, than that Gonzaga-St. Mary's play. I still can't believe that happened. To this day, I still can't believe that happened. But yeah, that was what the hell happened. I know Tuesday, I'm still figuring out another special segment. My TikTok Tuesday, I guess that's what it's going to be called for the time being. But on this channel, on this account, I'm getting lots of stuff that's not related to my podcast at all. So it's getting a lot of Livy Dune right now, and my algorithm is not there yet. So I will have to find time to explore and make sure that my For You page for this channel is what it is. So on that note, I hope you all have a good rest of your day. Comment down below what you agreed with, what you did not agree with, and I will see you guys next time. Peace.